Hi everyone. In this video, I'm going to be describing my process for making espresso using the ROK manual espresso maker. For the past several months on my Instagram page at @dh_McDonald, I've been sharing my photos and experiences with the ROK. The ROK is my first and only espresso maker so far, and I picked it up secondhand because I was looking for an economical way to get into making espresso. Figuring out the ROK involved a fairly lengthy learning period, and I made several dozen truly terrible shots. But after sticking with it and after making a few hundred shots, experimenting with grind size, dose, water, temperature, etc., I started to get some more promising results. And with that, I started to get a lot of comments and questions via Instagram about how I was using the ROK in order to get the results that I was. And since then, I've met some really nice people from around the world with varying levels of experience with the ROK. And it's been a great experience being introduced to such a friendly and supportive community. Based on the questions I received, I thought I'd make a video that shows how I use the ROK for those who wish to try and replicate my results. So I should add that I'm not a coffee or espresso expert, and I'm not even a barista. I'm just someone who was determined to give the ROK a lot of practice and who believes these results are replicable with the right equipment and technique. So this video is intended for new users, but you might find something here regardless of your level of experience. I'm of the opinion that for the ROK, good quality whole bean, freshly roasted and freshly ground coffee is going to give you the best results. And let's be honest, while you're looking for a tasty shot first and foremost, you're probably also wanting to make a great looking espresso. And using fresh coffee is one of the ways that you're going to get that thick, gorgeous layer of crema on top of the coffee. If you have a local roaster or a local specialty coffee shop that you like, go and talk to the staff and let them know what you're up to. See what they would recommend and buy a bag from them. In my experience, a barista is usually very happy to help you find a good coffee choice for your particular taste and your needs at home. And honestly, you won't regret spending a little bit more on good quality coffee once you get some good results. If you do get your beans from the grocery store, that's of course totally fine, but do try and get the freshest coffee that you can. And if you don't have a grinder to grind whole bean coffee, then you could get somebody to grind it for you, but then you're only going to have one grind choice for all of your experimentation with the ROK, and that's probably not going to work out very well for you in terms of meeting your expectations. Each bag of coffee is different, and the chances that you'll just happen to find the right grind for that particular bean for use with the ROK are probably not very good. Okay, let's get started. Here's what I use when making espresso with the ROK. Of course, we need the ROK and a portafilter, and my ROK has been upgraded to the ROK Espresso GC version, and I'm using a bottomless portafilter from the original Presso version of the ROK, which is compatible. To really get the best results, I'd recommend you get yourself a coffee grinder that can produce a decent range of fine grind settings. I use the Baratza Sette 30 with the adjustment assembly for the Sette 270, which pretty much makes it a stepless grinder. A good espresso grinder is an extra expense that you may not want to incur at first, but I really think it's one of the key things that will help you get the results you're after. You'll need a kettle and boiling water. You'll need a tamper of some kind. My second-hand ROK didn't come with its tamper scoop, so I can't really speak to its effectiveness, but it should be the right size for your needs if that's what you're using. You may also wish to use a distribution or leveling tool, but it's not essential that you have one. Personally, I find it helps. This tamper and leveling tool were made by LA Creative Works, and I'll put the link for them in the description. You'll need a cup to brew your espresso into, a spare mug, and a towel. Optional items include a dosing funnel, like this one I made from a plastic water bottle, a tamping mat, and an electronic scale. And of course, you'll need some coffee. Today I'm using the Peña Blanca Guatemalan Espresso from Detour Coffee in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada, and it was roasted 2 weeks before this video was shot. Put your kettle on to boil with enough water to preheat your portafilter, preheat your cup, preheat the ROK's chamber, and to brew your shot. Weigh out 16 to 18 grams of coffee beans. I find 16 grams to be about the ideal amount for me. Choose a grind level for your beans. Finding the right grind setting can be tricky, but play around with it and grind finer or coarser based on how the end result tastes and your target flow time for the shot. I aim for this to be between 27 and 32 seconds. This will take a little trial and error, but that's the nature of dialing in your grind for espresso. Also note that the right grind one day may not be right the next day, as your beans will be affected by a number of factors, including the time since they were roasted and even the weather that day. Put your portafilter in the spare mug and set it aside. When the water is boiled, pour some into the cup you'll be brewing your shot into. It's important that the components that will touch your brew water and your coffee be as hot as you can get them. This includes the portafilter and the ROK itself. Components that aren't preheated will steal the water's heat, and the resulting brew temperature may not be high enough to get a proper extraction. When you're done, put the kettle back on and let it continue to boil. After about 25 seconds, take the portafilter out of the hot water and lock it into the ROK. Put the mug under the portafilter, and then raise the ROK's arms. This will allow the water to start coming out, so make sure your mug is under the portafilter or you'll have to stop and wipe up any spilled water. Let it drip out, and then press the arms down, emptying the brew chamber. And set the mug aside. Remove the portafilter again, and with your towel, dry it off. The portafilter should be clean, dry, and hot. Don't take too long to do this though. Every second means more heat is lost. If you can, grind your coffee directly into your portafilter. Otherwise, tap the grounds from your grinder's grounds bin into the portafilter. Give the portafilter a slight shake and then 2 taps on the tamping mat to help settle the coffee. You may also need a few taps on the side of the portafilter to help center the mound. If you use a leveling tool, set the portafilter down and spin your leveler on top of the coffee a few times. You can also use your fingers to level the coffee, so you don't need to buy a fancy tool. I will say though that a leveling tool made things a little faster for me at this key stage in the process. It's time to tamp your coffee. Set the portafilter down on the corner of your counter or mat. Tamp the coffee, trying to keep the tamper perfectly level. This takes some practice. As for the amount of force needed, a lot of people hold 30 pounds as the standard amount of pressure to use, but this is debatable and may not be ideal for your purposes. Play with it and see what works best for you. Just try to make sure the tamper creates a level, evenly compressed bed of coffee so the water hits the surface of the puck as evenly as possible and doesn't channel to any one side. At this point, I like to take my towel and dry off the ROK's shower screen so that the water doesn't touch the coffee until I'm ready for it to do so. Next, lock the portafilter into the ROK firmly so that the angle of the handle points towards the letter R on the ROK logo of the machine. You're now ready to pull your shot. Dump the hot water out of your espresso cup. If you weigh your shots, which is a good practice if you're trying to be consistent or you're tracking your results, put your scale underneath the portafilter. Place the cup on the scale and tare your scale to 0. Grab the kettle and pour boiling water into the brew chamber. I fill it to about a half an inch below the top lip of the chamber, and I've heard that more water helps generate more pressure, which can in turn help produce more crema. Raise the ROK's arms. As we saw earlier, this allows the water to begin to flow downwards with gravity, and this will pre-infuse the coffee with water, expanding the grounds and helping to fill out any inconsistencies in the coffee puck that may cause channeling. It may also improve your extraction. I allow 10 to 15 seconds for pre-infusion, but play with this amount and see what works best for you. Begin to press the arms down. Slowly ramp up the pressure and feel for some feedback from the arms. For example, are they offering firm resistance, soft resistance? Do they not move down at all? If you've ground the coffee correctly, you should begin to see coffee come out within 3 to 5 seconds of the start of the press, and you should have a stream of liquid within about 5 to 8 seconds. I shoot for between 28 and 34 seconds total shot time, and I time from when the first drip hits the cup. You may like your shots a little longer or shorter, but once again, this is a matter of personal taste. For liquid output, I prefer a little over a 2-to-1 water to coffee ratio, so for 16 grams of ground coffee going into the portafilter, I want about 34 to 36 grams of liquid when it's done. Again, do what tastes best to you. When you've reached your desired amount of liquid, stop pressing. Remove your espresso cup and replace it with the empty mug to catch any drips. Take a moment to look at and appreciate the beautiful thing you've created. In these early days, you really should record your results. You might want to take note of things like the aroma, the thickness and color of the crema, the way the espresso feels in your mouth, the grind setting, the length of time taken to pull the shot, notes on how the espresso tasted, bad or good. You should taste them all. All of these will give you data that you can use to improve upon the previous shot and edge closer to perfection, which I think is what espresso is all about. So if you like to experiment, you want to learn, and you like to try a lot of espresso, the ROK, because it allows you to control virtually all of the elements that contribute to a great shot of espresso, is a lot of fun, and I hope these instructions help you get more out of it. Feel free to leave a comment or question, and if you like this video, please click the like button down below. Also, let me know in the comments section if you'd like to see more and what that might be. I'm hopeful that we can connect our little community of ROK users even more, and I want to say thanks to everyone I've connected with so far for your feedback and your support. So happy espresso making.